Yes, that's why I give you a sample. You will have to do it. It needed one of these little things. That's it. Yeah. Because you will have to. I give you stuff that I know you will have to see what they do. I'll do that.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
I'm going to be reading from the Adi Lila this morning, chapter 3.
Oh, you're not giving class? No class?
Not Srimad Bhagavatam, no. Gurupurnima is Monday, so me and Gokula Ranja decided that I would read on the advent of Lord Chaitanya.
So what are you reading then?
Adi Lila, chapter 3.
Okay.
In this chapter, the author has fully discussed the reason for the descent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, after displaying his pastimes as Lord Krishna, thought it wise to make an event in the form of a devotee, to explain personally the transcendental mellow reciprocations of service and love between him and his servants, friends, parents, and fiancés. According to the Vedic literature, the foremost occupation or duty for humanity in the age of Kali is Nama Sankirtan, or the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The incarnation of this age especially preaches this process, but only Krishna himself can explain the confidential loving service performed in the four principal varieties of loving affairs between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Lord Krishna therefore personally appeared with his plenary portions as Lord Chaitanya. As stated in this chapter, only for that purpose did Lord Krishna appear personally in Navadvip in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Advaita Acharya was a contemporary of Lord Chaitanya's father. He felt sorry for the condition of the world, because even after Lord Krishna's appearance, no one had interest in devotional service to Krishna. This forgetfulness was so overwhelming that Advaita Prabhu was convinced that no one but Lord Krishna himself could enlighten people about devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Therefore Advaita requested Lord Krishna to appear as Lord Chaitanya, offering Tulasini and Ganges water. He cried for the Lord's appearance. The Lord being satisfied by his pure devotees, descends to satisfy them. As such, being pleased by Advaita Acharya, Lord Chaitanya appeared. I'm not going to read all the purports of this entire chapter. Absorbed in transcendental love, Lord Sri Krishna enjoys in barrage with his devoted servants, friends, parents, and conjugal lovers. The descent of Sri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is very purposeful. In the Bhagavad Gita it is said, one who knows the truth about Sri Krishna's descent and his various activities is at once liberated and does not fall again into this existence of birth and death after he leaves his present material body. In other words, one who factually understands Krishna makes his life perfect. Imperfect life is realized in material existence in 5 different relationships we share with everyone within the material world: neutrality, servitorship, friendship, filial love, and amorous love between husband and wife, or lover and beloved. These 5 enjoyable relationships within the material world are perverted reflections of relationships with the absolute personality of Godhead in their transcendental nature. That absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, descends to revive the 5 eternally existing relationships, and thus he manifests his transcendental pastimes in Raj, so that people may be attracted to that sphere of activities and leave aside their imitation relationships with the mundane. Then after fully exhibiting all such activities, the Lord disappears. Lord Krishna enjoys his transcendental pastimes as long as he wishes, then he disappears. And after disappearing, however, he thus thinks, for a long time I have not bestowed unalloyed loving service unto me upon the inhabitants of the world. Without such loving attachment, the existence of the material world is useless. Everywhere in the world, people worship me according to the scriptural injunctions, but simply by following such regulative principles, one cannot attain the loving sentiments of the devotees of God's glory. Knowing my opulences, the whole world looks upon me with awe and veneration, but devotion made feeble by such reverence does not attract me. By performing such regulated devotional service in awe and veneration, one may go to Vaikuntha and attain the 4 kinds of liberation. These liberations are Sarsti, achieving opulences equal to those of the Lord; Sarupya, having a form as same as the Lord; Samipya, living as a personal associate of the Lord; and Salokya, living on a Vaikuntha planet. Devotees never accept Sayujya, however, since that is oneness with Brahman. I shall personally inaugurate the religion of the age, Nama Sankirtana, the congregational chanting of the holy names. I shall make the world dance in ecstasy, realizing the 4 mellows of loving devotional service. I shall accept the role of a devotee. I shall teach devotional service by practicing it myself. Unless one practices devotional service himself, he cannot teach it to others. This conclusion is indeed confirmed throughout the Gita and Bhagavatam. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of your religion, at that time I descend myself, to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I appear myself millennium after millennium. If I did not show the proper principles of religion, all these worlds would fall into ruin. I would be the cause of unwanted population and would spoil all these living beings. Whatever actions a great man performs, common people follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. My plenary portions can establish the principles of religion for each age. No one but me, however, can bestow the loving service performed by the residents of Raj. There may be many all-auspicious incarnations of the personality of Godhead, but who other than Lord Sri Krishna can bestow love of God upon that serene soul? Therefore, in the company of my devotees, I shall appear on earth and perform various colorful pastimes. Thinking thus, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna himself descended at Nadia early in the age of Kali, and thus the lion like Lord Chaitanya has appeared in Navadvip. He has shoulders of a lion, the powers of a lion, and a loud voice of a lion. And may that lion be seated in the core of the heart of every living being, and thus his resounding roar may he drag away one's elephantine vices. In his early pastimes he is known as Vishvambara, because he floods the world with the nectar of devotion, and thus saves the living beings. The verbal root, Dubrin, which is the root word of the word Vishvambara, indicates nourishing and maintaining. He, Lord Chaitanya, nourishes and maintains the three worlds by distributing love of God. In his later pastimes, he is known as Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya, and he blesses the whole world by teaching them about the name and fame of Lord Sri Krishna. Knowing him, Lord Chaitanya, to be the incarnation for the Kali Yuga, Gorga Muni, during the naming ceremony of Krishna, predicted his appearance. This boy Krishna has three other colors, white, red, and yellow, and he appears at different ages. Now he has appeared in a transcendental blackish color. This is found in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:8-13. White, red, yellow. These are the three bodily lustres of that Lord, lustres that the Lord, the husband of the goddess of fortune, assumes in the Satya, Treta, and Kali, respectively. Now in Dwapara Yuga, the Lord is descended in a blackish hue. This is the essence of the statements of the Puranas and other Vedic literatures with reference to this context. In the Dwapara Yuga, the personality of Godhead appears in a blackish hue. He is dressed in yellow, he holds his own weapons, and he is decorated with the Kaustuba jewel and marks the Sriracha. This is how his symptoms are described. The religious practice of the age of Kali is to broadcast the glories of the holy name. Only for this purpose has the Lord in a yellow color descended as Lord Chaitanya. In this age of Kali, the practical system of religion for everyone is the chanting of the holy name of Godhead. This was introduced in this age by Lord Chaitanya. Bhakti Yoga actually begins with the chanting of the holy name, as confirmed by Madhvacharya in his commentary in the Mundaka Upanishad. He quotes this verse from the Narayana Samhita. In the Dwapara Yuga, people should worship Lord Vishnu only by the regulative principles of the Narada, Pancharatra, and other authorized books. In the age of Kali, however, people should simply chant the holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Hare Krishna mantra is specifically mentioned in many Upanishads, especially the Kali Sen Tarana Upanishad. After searching through all the Vedic literatures, one cannot find a method of religion more sublime for this age than the chanting of Hare Krishna. The luster of his expansive body resembles molten gold. The deep sound of his voice conquers the thundering of newly assembled clouds. One who measured 4 cubits in height and in breadth by his own hand is celebrated as a great personality. Such a person is called Nayagrodha Parimandala. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who personifies all good qualities, has the body of a Nayagrodha Parimandala. His arms are long enough to reach his knees, his eyes are like lotus flowers, his nose is like a sesame flower, and his face is as beautiful as the moon. He is peaceful, he is self-controlled, fully devoted to the transcendental service of Lord Sri Krishna. He is affectionate toward his devotees, he is gentle, and he is equally disposed toward all living entities. He is decorated with sandalwood bangles, armlets, and anointed with the pulp of sandalwood. He especially wears these decorations to dance in Sri Krishna's Sankirtan. Recording all these qualities of Lord Chaitanya, the sage Vaishnampayana included his name in the Vishnu Sahasranama. The pastimes of Lord Chaitanya have 2 divisions: the early pastimes, Adi Lila, and the later pastimes, Shesha Lila. He has 4 names in each of these 2 Leelas. In his early pastimes, he appears as a householder with a golden complexion. His limbs are beautiful. His body, smeared with the pulp of sandalwood, seems like molten gold. In his later pastimes, he accepts the sannyasi order, and he is equiposed and peaceful. He is the highest abode of peace and devotion, for he silences the impersonalist non-devotees. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is repeatedly and clearly said that the essence of religion in this age of Kali is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. O King, in this way the people in Dwapara Yuga worship the Lord of the universe. In the Kali Yuga they also worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the regulations of the revealed scriptures. Kindly now hear of that from me. This verse was spoken by the saint Karabhajana in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the age of Kali, Intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself, and he is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. My dear brothers, please hear all these glories of Lord Chaitanya. This verse clearly summarizes his activities and characteristics. The two syllables Krishna are always in his mouth, and he constantly describes Krishna with great pleasure. These are two meanings to the word Krishna Varna. Indeed, nothing else but Krishna issues from his mouth. If someone tries to describe him as being of blackish complexion, then this adjective, Dvisha Akshanam, immediately restricts him. His complexion is certainly not blackish. Indeed, his not being blackish indicates that his complexion is yellow. By performing the sacrifice, the congregational chanting of the holy name, learned scholars in the age of Kali worship Lord Krishna, who is now non-blackish because of the great upsurge of the feelings of Srimati Radharani. He is the only worshipful deity for the Paramahamsas, who have attained the highest stage of the fourth order, sannyas. May that Supreme Person of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya, show us his causeless mercy. One can vividly see his glowing complexion of molten gold, which dispels the darkness of ignorance. The simple life of a living being results from ignorance. To destroy that ignorance, he has brought various weapons, such as his plenary associates, his devotees, and the holy name. The greatest ignorance consists of activities, whether religious or irreligious, that are opposed to devotional service. They are to be known as sins. Kalmasha. Raising his arms and chanting the holy name, and looking upon all with deep love, he drives away all sins and floods everyone with love of Godhead. May the Supreme Person of Godhead, in the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya, bestow his causeless mercy upon us. His smiling glance at once drives away all the bereavements of the world. His very words enliven the auspicious creepers of devotion by expanding their leaves. Taking shelter of his lotus feet invokes transcendental love of God at once. Anyone who looks upon his beautiful body or his beautiful face becomes freed from all sins and obtains the wealth of love of Godhead. In other incarnations, the Lord descended with armies and weapons, but in this incarnation, his soldiers are his plenary parts and associates. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always the most worshipful deity of the demigods, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, who came in the garb of ordinary men bearing love for him. He instructs his own pure devotional service to his own devotees. Will he again be the object of my vision? His plenary parts and associates perform the work of weapons as his own specific duties. Please hear from me another meaning of the word Anga. According to the evidence of the revealed scriptures, a bodily limb, Anga, is also called a part, Amsha, and the part of the limb is called a partial part, Upanga. O Lord of Lords, you are the seer of all creation. You are indeed everyone's dearest life. Are you not, therefore, my father, Narayana? Narayana refers to one whose abode is in the water born from Nara, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, and that Narayana is your plenary portion. All your plenary portions are transcendental. They are absolute and not creations of Maya. The manifestation of Narayana, who predominates in everyone's heart, as well as the Narayana who lives in the waters, Karana, Garbha, and Kashira, is your plenary portion. You are therefore the original Narayana. The word Anga, indeed, refers to plenary portions. Such manifestations should never be considered products of material nature, for they are all transcendental, full of knowledge, and full of bliss. Sri Advaita Prabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu are both plenary portions of Lord Chaitanya, and thus they are the limbs, Angas, of his body. The parts of these two limbs are called the Upangas. Thus the Lord is equipped with sharp weapons in the forms of his parts and plenary portions. All these weapons are competent enough to crush the faithless atheists. The word Prashanda is very significant here. One who considers the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the demigods is known as Prashanda. Prashandas try to bring the Supreme Lord down to the mundane level. Sometimes they create their own imaginary God, or accept an ordinary person as God, and advertise him as equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are so foolish that they present someone as the next incarnation of Lord Chaitanya or Krishna, although his activities are all contradictory to those of a genuine incarnation, and thus they fool the innocent public. One who is intelligent and who studies the characteristics of the Supreme Person of Godhead with reference to the Vedic context cannot be bewildered by the Prashandas. The Prashandas are atheists, cannot understand the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, or transcendental living service to the Lord. They think that the devotional service is no better than ordinary fruitive activities, karma. As Bhagavad Gita 4.8 confirms, however, the Supreme Person of Godhead and his devotees, saving the righteous and chastising the miscreants, always curb the nonsensical atheists. Miscreants always want to deny the Supreme Personality of Godhead and put stumbling blocks in the path of devotional service. The Lord sends his bona fide representatives and appears himself to curb this nonsense. Sri Nityananda Goswami is directly Haladhara, Lord Balaram, and Advaita Acharya is the personality of God himself. These two captains with their soldiers, such as Sri Rasa Thakur, travel everywhere, chanting the holy names of the Lord. Lord Nityananda's very features indicates that he is the subduer of the unbelievers. All sins and unbelievers flee from loud shouts of Advaita Acharya. Lord Sri Chaitanya is the initiator of Sankirtan, congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. One who worships him through Sankirtan is fortunate indeed. Such a person is truly intelligent, whereas others, who have but a poor fund of knowledge, must endure a cycle of repeated birth and death. Of all sacrificial performances, the chanting of the holy name is the most sublime. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the father and inaugurator of the Sankirtan movement. One who worships him by sacrificing his life, his money, his intelligence, and words for the Sankirtan movement is recognized by the Lord and endowed with all blessings. All others may be said to be foolish, for all sacrifices in which a man may apply his energy, a sacrifice made for the Sankirtan movement is the most glorious. One who says that 10 million Ajvamedha sacrifices are equal to the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna is undoubtedly an atheist. He is sure to be punished by Yamaraj. In the list of 10 kind of offenses in chanting the holy name of the Supreme Person of Godhead, Hare Krishna, the 8th offense is Dharma Vrata Tyaga, Uttari Sarva Sutta Kriya Samya Abhi Pramadaha. One should never consider the chanting of the holy name of Godhead equal to pious activities like giving charity to brahmanas or saintly persons, opening charitable educational institutions, distributing free foodstuffs, and so on. The results of pious activities do not equal the results of chanting of the holy name. The Vedic scriptures say, even if one distributes 10 million cows in charity during an eclipse of the sun, lives at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna for millions of years, or gives a mountain of gold sacrificed to the Brahmanas, he does not earn 1/100th part of the merit derived from chanting Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. In other words, one who accepts the chanting of Hare Krishna to be some kind of pious activity is completely misled. Of course it is pious, but the real fact is that Krishna and his name, being transcendental, are far above all mundane pious activity. Pious activity is on the material platform. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna is completely on the spiritual platform. Therefore, although Prashandis do not understand this, pious activity can never compare to the chanting of the holy name. In the auspicious introduction of Bhagavatam Sundari, Srimad Jiva Goswami has given the following verse as an explanation. I take shelter of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is outwardly of a fair complexion, but is inwardly Krishna himself. In this age of Kali, he displays his expansions, his angas and his upangas, by performing congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Srimad Jiva Goswami has placed the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam quoted in text 52 as the auspicious introduction in his Bhagavatam Sundari. He has composed this text, which is in effect an explanation of the Bhagavatam verse, as the second verse of the same work. The verse from Srimad Bhagavatam was enunciated by Karabhajana, one of the 9 great sages, and is elaborately explained by the Sarva Samvadini, Jiva Goswami's commentary on his own Satsandharma. Antaha Krishna refers to one who is always thinking of Krishna. This attitude is a predominant feature of Srimati Radharani. Even though many devotees always think of Krishna, none can surpass the gopis, among whom Radharani is the leader of the thinking of Krishna. Radharani's Krishna consciousness surpasses that of all devotees. Lord Chaitanya accepted the position of Srimati Radharani to understand Krishna. Therefore, he is always thinking of Krishna in the same way as Radharani. By thinking of Lord Krishna, he always overlapped Krishna. Sri Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya, who is outwardly very fair, with a complexion like molten gold, simultaneously manifested his eternal associates, opulences, expansions, and incarnations. He preached the process of chanting Hare Krishna, and those who are under his lotus feet are glorious. In the Upa Puranas, we hear Shri Krishna showing his mercy to Vyasdev by speaking to him as follows: O Lord Brahman, sometimes I accept the renounced order of life to induce the fallen people of the age of Kali to accept the devotional service to the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, and the Puranas and other Vedic literatures all give evidence to prove that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation of Krishna. One can directly see Lord Chaitanya's manifest influence in his uncommon deeds and the uncommon Krishna conscious realization. But faithless unbelievers do not see what is clearly evident, just as owls do not see the rays of the sun. O my Lord, those influenced by demoniac principles cannot realize you, although you are clearly the supreme by dint of your exalted activities, form, character, and uncommon power, which are confirmed by all the revealed scriptures, and the quality of goodness and celebrated transcendence in the divine nature. Lord Shri Krishna tries to hide himself in various ways, but nevertheless his pure devotees know him as he is. O my Lord, everything within this material nature is limited by time, space, and thought. Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover your characteristics by your own energy, but nevertheless your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. Those whose nature is demoniac cannot know Krishna at any time, but he cannot hide himself from his pure devotees. People who develop the nature of Asuras like Ravana and Hiranyakashipu can never know Krishna, the personality of Godhead, by challenging the authority of Godhead. But Shri Krishna cannot hide himself from his pure devotees. There are two classes of men in the created world. One consists of the demoniac and the other of the godly. The devotees of Lord Vishnu are godly, whereas those who are just the opposite are called demons. This is a verse from the Padma Purana. The Vishnu Bhaktas, or devotees in Krishna consciousness, are known as devas, demigods. Atheists who do not believe in God or declare themselves to be God are Asuras, demons. Asuras always engage in the atheistic material activities, exploring ways to utilize the resources of matter to enjoy sense gratification. The Vishnu Bhaktas, Krishna conscious devotees, are also active, but their objective is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotional service. Superficially, both classes may appear to work in the same way, but their purposes are completely opposite because of a difference in consciousness. Asuras work for personal sense gratification, whereas devotees work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Both work conscientiously, but their motives are different. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant for the devas of the devotees. Demons cannot take part in Krishna conscious activities, nor can devotees in Krishna consciousness take part in the demoniac activities, or work like cats and dogs simply for sense gratification. Such activities not appeal to those in Krishna consciousness. Devotees accept only the bare necessities of life to keep themselves fit to act in Krishna consciousness. The balance of energy is used for developing Krishna consciousness, through which one can be transferred to the abode of Krishna by always thinking of him, even at the point of death. Advaita Acharya Goswami is an incarnation of the Lord as a devotee. His loud calling was the cause for Krishna's incarnation. Whenever Shri Krishna desires to manifest his incarnation on earth, first he creates the incarnations of his respectable predecessors. Thus respectable personalities such as his father, mother, and spiritual master all take birth on earth first. Madhavendra Puri, Ishvara Puri, Srimati Sachimata, and Srimad Jagannath Mishra all appeared with Sri Advaita Acharya. Whenever the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends in his human form, he sends ahead all his devotees, who act as his father, teacher, and associates in many roles. Such personalities appear before the descent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Before the appearance of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there appeared his devotees, like Sri Madhavendra Puri, his spiritual master, Sri Isvara Puri, his mother, Srimati Sachi Devi, his father, Sri Jagannath Mishra, and Sri Advaita Acharya.
Yeah, hold on. I think today is maybe the disappearance of Madhavendra Puri.
Was it today or was it yesterday?
Well, I don't know. Maybe here it's yesterday, and somewhere else it's today. Anyway, I just thought I'd say.
When Advaita Acharya appeared, he found the world devoid of devotional service to Sri Krishna, because people were engrossed in material affairs. Everyone was engaged in material enjoyment, whether simply or virtuously. No one had interest in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, which gave total relief from the repetition of birth and death. Advaita Acharya saw the entire world to be engaged in activities of material piety and impiety, without a trace of devotional service or Krishna consciousness anywhere. The fact that in this material world there is no scarcity of anything except Krishna consciousness. Material necessities are supplied by the mercy of the Lord. We sometimes feel scarcity because of our mismanagement, but the real problem is that sometimes people are out of touch with Krishna consciousness. Everyone is engaged in the material sense gratification, but people have no plan for making an ultimate solution to their real problems, namely birth, disease, old age, and death. These four material mysteries are called Bhavaroga, or material diseases. They can only be cured by Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is the greatest benediction for human society. Seeing the activities of the world, the Acharya felt compassion and began to ponder how he could act for the people's benefit. If Sri Krishna were to appear as an incarnation, he himself could preach devotion by his personal example. In this age of Kali, there is no religion other than the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. But how in this age will the Lord appear as an incarnation? I shall worship Krishna in a purified state of mind. I shall constantly petition him in humbleness. My name, Advaita, will be fitting if I am able to induce Krishna to inaugurate the movement of the chanting of the holy name. The non-dualist Mayavadi philosopher, who falsely believes that he is not different from the Lord, is unable to call him like Advaita Prabhu. Advaita Prabhu is not different from the Lord, yet in his relationship with the Lord, he does not merge in him, but eternally renders service unto him as a plenary portion. This is the inconceivable for the Mayavadis, because they think in terms of mundane sense perception, and therefore think that non-dualism necessitates losing one's separate identity. It is clear from this verse, however, that Advaita Prabhu, although retaining his separate identity, is not different from the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached the philosophy of inconceivable, simultaneous oneness with the Lord and difference from him. Conceivable dualism and monism are conceptions of the imperfect senses, which are unable to reach the transcendence, because the transcendence is beyond the conception of limited potency. The actions of Sri Advaita Prabhu, however, give tangible proof of inconceivable non-dualism. One who therefore surrenders to Sri Advaita Prabhu can easily follow the philosophy of inconceivable, simultaneous dualism and monism. While he was thinking about how to propitiate Krishna by worship, the following verse came to his mind. Sri Krishna, who is very affectionate toward his devotees, sells himself to a devotee who offers merely a tulasi leaf in a palm full of water. Advaita Acharya considered the meaning of the verse in this way. Not finding any way to repay the debt he owes to one who offers him a tulasi leaf and water, Lord Krishna thinks, there is no wealth in my possession that is equal to a tulasi leaf and water. Thus the Lord liquidates the debt by offering his own self to the devotee. Considering this, Advaita Acharya began worshipping the Lord. Through devotional service, one can easily please Lord Krishna with a leaf of the tulasi plant and a little water. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:26, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or some water, when offered with devotion, very much pleases him. He universally accepts the service of his devotees. Even the poorest of devotees in any part of the world can secure a small flower, fruit, or leaf, or a little water. And in these offerings, and especially the tulasi leaves and ganges water, offered to Krishna with devotion, he is very satisfied. It is said that Krishna is so pleased by devotional service, by such devotional service, that he offers himself to his devotee in exchange for it. Srila Advaita Acharya knew this fact, and therefore he decided to call for the personality of Godhead Krishna to descend by worshipping the Lord with tulasi leaves and the water of the Ganges. Thinking of the lotus feet of Shri Krishna, he constantly offered tulasi buds and the water from the Ganges. He appealed to Shri Krishna with loud calls and thus made it possible for Krishna to appear. Therefore, the principal reason for Sri Chaitanya's descent is the appeal by Advaita Acharya. The Lord, the protector of religion, appears by the desire of his devotees. O my Lord, you always dwell in the vision and hearing of your pure devotees. You also live in their lotus-like hearts, which are purified by devotional service. O my Lord, who are glorified by exalted prayers, you show special favor to your devotees by manifesting yourself in the eternal forms in which they welcome you. The essence of the meaning to this verse is that Lord Krishna appears in all his innumerable eternal forms because of the desires of his pure devotees. Thus I have surely determined the meaning of the fourth verse. Lord Gauranga, Lord Chaitanya, appeared as an incarnation to preach the unalloyed love of God. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Radhanath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ki
Jai.
Shri Advaita Acharya Ki
Jai.
Nityananda Ki
Jai.
Gaur Purnima Ki
Jai.
Radha Ki
Jai.
Shilas Ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai, Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The inmates of New Talavana Ki. Prabhupada would refer to us as inmates. Something like that, yes. And this way sometimes he would say, he would put the date and the location, and he would say, Camp New Talavana. Or Camp New York.
Wow.
Yeah, my Romarch does that too.
Yeah.
He'll say base, he always feels that he's based in Mayapur.
Right.
So he says from base, Mayapur, camp, and wherever he's at.
Right.
I never saw that.
Prabhupada used to do it all the time.